January is ending. What are you dragging behind you? I know what you feel. Your shoulders are heavy, not from the work you did, but the work you think you should have done. Capricorn, you are the strongest sign, but strength is also your prison. You started the year with a list, a plan, discipline, and now, at the end, you look at what's left undone and call yourself a failure. I see you. The guilt in your chest, the ledger in your mind, the debts, some financial, most emotional, that you carry like stones in a backpack. This is not weakness. This is the Capricorn curse. You were taught that rest is theft, that joy is earned, that you are only as good as your last achievement. Listen, January 29, new moon in Aquarius. The cosmic reset button. But here's the truth. You can't start fresh while carrying old weight. Your ruler, Saturn, is in Pisces now, dissolving, asking you to release what you built on guilt. January 31 equals Universal Day number 4, closure. February 1st equals day number 3, creation. There is a portal between them, but you must walk through it empty-handed. I am Onyx. I have watched Capricorns for years. I know your patterns, and I am here to show you the mirror you avoid. Before I show you the ritual, you need to understand what debt really is. Not the number in your bank account, the weight in your soul. Debt is not just money you owe. Debt is any energy you gave away without consent, any promise you made to avoid conflict, any "I'm fine" you said when you were breaking. The credit card balance, the loan from your brother, the favor you can't repay. That's financial debt, visible, measurable. You know the number. But there's another ledger. The guilt for saying no to your mother. The apology you gave when you were right. The love you poured into someone who took and never filled the cup back. That's emotional debt. And research shows it activates the same brain regions as physical pain. Your body feels it. The tightness in your chest when you think about the conversation you're avoiding. The nausea when you see the name on your phone. This is not metaphor, this is biology. Saturn is the cosmic accountant. He doesn't punish, he audits. And right now, standing in Pisces, he's asking one question. What are you carrying that isn't yours? I've seen Capricorns with perfect credit scores and empty eyes. The debt was paid, the house was bought, the retirement account was full, the soul was bankrupt. Because you never learned to audit the invisible ledger. The one written in guilt and obligation and the word should. You call it responsibility. I call it self-abandonment. Your shadow debt is inherited. You were taught, be responsible, don't burden others, carry it alone. So you became the pack mule of your family, your workplace, your friend group. And now you don't know who you are without the weight. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. You think you chose this life. You didn't. Your ancestors chose it. Your parents reinforced it, and you obeyed. Right now, as you listen, your chest is tight. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You can name the debt, maybe 3 of them. Write them down. Not to solve them, just to see them. Emotional debt. I owe my father an apology I don't mean. Financial debt. The $2,000 I borrowed and can't repay. Spiritual debt. I said yes to a job that's killing me. Name them, because if you carry this into February, it compounds. Emotional interest accrues. By March, you'll be numb. By June, you'll wonder why you can't feel joy. Saturn doesn't wait. The audit continues. Now that you see the debt, let me show you how to close the ledger. This is not magic. This is psychology synchronized with the cosmos. The ritual has 3 parts: naming, releasing, receiving. Tonight, you will do the first. You will need paper, a pen, and 20 minutes of solitude. No phone, no distractions. Just you and the truth. Sit down, write 2 lists. List 1, financial debts. Every dollar you owe, every favor, every "I'll pay you back" you haven't honored. Be specific, not "some money to Sarah." Write $1,500 to Sarah, $80 to the electric company, $300 to my brother. Don't round, don't soften. Write the exact number. The soul knows the difference between approximation and truth. List 2, emotional debts. Every apology you gave when you were right. Every yes you said when you meant no. Every time you carried someone else's pain because they refused to. Write it down. I apologized to my mother for her anger. I said yes to a promotion I didn't want. I forgave him before he even asked. Don't edit, don't justify, just name. The psychology of naming is simple. Writing activates the prefrontal cortex. It moves the debt from vague dread to concrete problem. Problems can be solved. Dread just haunts. Gestalt therapy teaches this. What you name, you can face. What you face, you can release. But you will resist. Your mind will say, "This is stupid. I don't have time. I already know what I owe." That's the ego. It's terrified of vulnerability. Do it anyway. As you write, notice your body. Does your jaw clench? Does your stomach twist? Does your hand shake when you write a particular name? That's the shadow speaking. Listen. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Naming is reclaiming power. The Hermetic principle states, "As above, so below." The paper is the microcosm. Your life is the macrocosm. Change one, change both. I have seen Capricorns weep at this stage. Not from sadness, from relief. Relief that the invisible is finally visible. One client wrote 47 emotional debts. She looked at the list and said, "I didn't know I was this tired." I said, "Now you do. The list will be longer than you expect. That's normal. You've been accumulating debt for years, decades maybe. Don't judge the length, just witness it. When you finish, read the list aloud, alone, in a room where no one can hear you. Say each debt out loud. I owe Sarah $1,500. I apologized to my father when he was wrong. I said yes to a job I hate. Feel the weight of each word. Don't rush. This is the naming, the first act of closure. Now you see the list. The debts are real, written, witnessed. The next step is harder. You must release them. Step 2, releasing. Take the list, hold it in your hands. You've named the debts. You've seen them. You've spoken them aloud. Now you must burn them. Not metaphorically, literally. Light a candle, any candle. It doesn't need to be special. The ritual is not in the object, it's in the act. Hold the paper over the flame. Watch it catch. Watch the edges curl. Watch the ink disappear. As it burns, say this: I release this debt. It is no longer mine to carry. Say it for each debt, financial, emotional, all of them. The fire is not magic, it's a symbol. Your subconscious understands symbols better than logic. Research shows ritual creates cognitive closure. The brain registers, this chapter is done. You are not erasing the debt. You are changing your relationship to it. You are saying, I acknowledge it. I will address it, but I will not be defined by it. For financial debts, commit to a plan. Even $10 a month is movement. Saturn respects effort, not perfection. For emotional debts, write one sentence after the burning. I forgive myself for carrying what wasn't mine. You don't have to believe it yet, just say it. As you burn the paper, you might cry, or rage, or feel nothing. All are valid. I once watched a Capricorn client burn a list of 47 emotional debts. She didn't cry during. She cried 3 days later in the grocery store. The shadow doesn't follow your schedule. It surfaces when you're finally safe enough to feel it. After the burning, sit in silence. Notice your chest. Is it lighter or heavier? Both are signs of release. Heavy means the grief is surfacing. The weight you ignored is demanding to be felt. Light means the weight is lifting. The ledger is closing. Saturn is the cosmic accountant. He doesn't punish, he audits. Right now, he's watching you burn the evidence of debts that were never yours to begin with. Time devours all. Cronus ate his children. But you can choose what you feed time. Feed it your guilt, not your life. The Tibetan practice of Tonglen teaches you have been sending, giving, pouring out. Now you must receive forgiveness, rest, release. The paper is ash now. The debt is released. But there is one final step, the hardest one. Capricorn, you know how to give. You don't know how to receive. This is where most of you will fail the ritual, not because you're weak, because receiving feels like weakness. You've been trained since childhood. Don't be a burden. Don't ask for help. Handle it yourself. So you became the handler, the fixer, the one everyone leans on. And now, when someone offers you grace, a compliment, a favor, forgiveness, your body rejects it like a bad organ transplant. I'm fine. You don't have to. I'll pay you back. These are not politeness. These are walls. The final step of the ritual is this. Receive the release you just gave yourself. Here's how. Sit across from an empty chair. I know, it sounds absurd. Gestalt therapy uses this technique for integration. Imagine yourself in that chair, the version of you who carried all those debts, the exhausted one, the guilty one. Speak to that version. I see you. I see how hard you tried. I forgive you for being human. You will feel ridiculous. Your ego will scream, "This is stupid. I don't have time for theater." Do it anyway. Because here's what I learned at 38 years old, collapsed on my office floor at 3 in the morning. Discipline without rest is not strength. It's self-destruction. I believed stopping meant failure. My body taught me otherwise. It said rest is not negotiable. I had to practice what I'm teaching you now. Receiving is not greed. Forgiveness is not surrender. Softness is not weakness. You were taught a lie, Capricorn. You were told your value is your usefulness. So you became useful, and then indispensable, and then invisible. Carl Jung called this unlived life. The shadow is not evil. It's the parts of you that you buried to survive. Your unlived life is joy, permission, The ability to say, I am enough, even when I produce nothing. After the burning, after the empty chair, do this. Accept help. Once. Small. Let someone buy you coffee. Say thank you without adding, but I'll pay you back. Let a friend carry the groceries. Don't explain why you're tired. Receive a compliment. Don't deflect. Don't minimize. Just say thank you. This is the practice. Small receiving builds the muscle. Because if you can't receive, you will recreate the debt. You'll find new guilt within a week, new obligations, new people to save. The cycle continues. Saturn is watching. He wants to see if you learn the lesson. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept what comes, release what goes." The Hermetic law states, the universe abhors a vacuum. You release the debt. Space opened. If you don't fill that space with receiving, with rest, with grace, with your own forgiveness, the old debts will crawl back in. I am onyx. I have watched Capricorns complete this ritual and then, 3 days later, apologize for something that wasn't their fault. The pattern is deep, generational, cellular. Breaking it requires vigilance. So here's your verification. Notice what happens in the next 48 hours. Someone will ask you for something, a favor, time, energy. You'll feel the old pull. I should say yes. I always say yes. That's the test. Say no. Without explanation, without apology. Watch what happens. Most of the time, nothing. They move on. They ask someone else. And you realize the world does not collapse when you stop holding it up. You've named the debts. You've released them. You've received your own forgiveness. Now comes the aftermath. The real work begins. The ritual is complete. The paper is ash. The debts are named, released, burned. You feel lighter, maybe. Or maybe you feel nothing at all. Both are normal. Let me tell you what happens next. Not the fantasy version, the real version, the one nobody talks about. The first 48 hours, the honeymoon. You might sleep better tonight. Your chest might feel open. You might wake up and, for the first time in weeks, not immediately check your phone for catastrophe. This is the honeymoon phase. Enjoy it. It won't last. Not because the ritual failed, but because the shadow doesn't surrender quietly. Within 2 days, the backlash begins. The shadow backlash, the test. Here's what I've observed in 15 years of practice. 72 hours after the ritual, the universe sends a messenger. Could be your mother, could be your boss, could be a friend who only calls when they need something. They will ask you for a favor, and you will feel the old machinery crank to life. I should help. I always help. What if they think I'm selfish? This is the test. The debt you burned is trying to crawl back into your life, wearing a new face. Say no. Not, I can't right now. Not, maybe later. Just no. No explanation, no apology, no softening. Watch what happens. Most of the time, they move on. They ask someone else. The world keeps spinning, and you realize you were never the only option. You were just the easiest. Financial debt, the numbers don't lie. If you owe money, the ritual didn't erase the balance. It changed your relationship to the number. Before, the debt was shame, identity, proof of failure. After, the debt is just data, a problem with a solution. Here's the practical step. Contact the creditor. Even if you can only pay $10 this month, movement matters more than speed. Saturn doesn't demand perfection. Saturn demands effort. I've seen Capricorns pay off $20,000 debts, $10 at a time. It took years, but they did it, not because they were rich, because they stopped running from the number. Emotional debt. The people you owe. The apology you burned. The guilt you released. The person on the other end might never know, might never care. That's not your business. You didn't release them from the debt. You released yourself from the story that you are forever in debt. Some of you will want closure, a conversation, forgiveness from the other person. Don't. Not yet. Right now, your boundaries are new, fragile. One guilt trip from them and you'll fold. Give it time. Let the new pattern root. If the conversation needs to happen, it will, but not from a place of desperation. The Capricorn trap, filling the void. Here's the danger. You've released the old debts. Your psyche now has space, and space feels terrifying to a Capricorn. So you'll be tempted to fill it immediately. New obligations, new projects, new people to save. Resist. Sit in the emptiness. This is the portal I mentioned, the space between the old self and the new self. If you rush to fill it, you'll recreate the same pattern with different names. The void is not a problem to solve. It's a question to sit with. Who am I when I'm not performing? Observable signs of integration. You'll know the ritual worked when small things shift. You stop checking your bank account 5 times a day. You say, "I don't know," without shame. You let a call go to voicemail and don't feel guilty. You sleep past 7 in the morning and don't call it laziness. These are not dramatic, but they are everything. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Debt is the mask. Release is the face beneath. Done the timeline. Weeks, not days. This is not a quick fix. The first week you'll feel the backlash, the tests, the pull to return. The second week you'll notice the small shifts, the breathing room. By the third week, someone will comment, "You seem different." You won't know how to explain it. Don't try. Just say, "I'm learning to put things down." What if nothing changes? Some of you are reading this and thinking, "I did the ritual, I feel the same." That's the ego talking. It wants instant transformation, fireworks, proof. The real change is underground, root level. You won't see it until you're tested, until someone asks for something you would have given automatically, and you say no. That's when you'll know. Done February is 6 days away. Aquarius energy is building. Detachment, liberation, the breaking of chains. But you can't break chains if you're still carrying the old weight. This ritual was the preparation. Next week, I'll show you what Aquarius season reveals about your deepest fear. What if I'm ordinary without the burden? But for now, notice, observe, protect the space you've created. The ledger is closed. The real question is, will you keep it closed? Look in the mirror. Who do you see? Not the person who started January with a list and a plan. Not the one who carried every stone like it was sacred duty. You see someone who chose to put it down. Done February 1st arrives in 6 days. The sun fully settles into Aquarius. Pluto continues its generational march through the sign of revolution. The cosmic message is clear. Break the systems that cage you. But here's what they don't tell you about liberation. You can't free yourself if you're still holding the keys to your own prison. The ritual you just performed wasn't magic. It was permission. Permission to stop being the atlas of everyone's world. Permission to close the ledger without guilt. Permission to walk into the next month without dragging the corpse of the last one behind you. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. What if I fail? What if the debts come back? What if I'm not strong enough to hold this boundary? Listen, strength is not carrying the mountain forever. Strength is knowing when to set it down. Saturn, your ruler, doesn't reward martyrdom. He rewards mastery. And mastery begins the moment you stop confusing suffering with virtue. Yeah, this week you will be tested. Someone will ask for something, a favor, money, time, emotional labor. Your old pattern will scream, say yes, prove you're good, prove you're worthy. That's the shadow. It's terrified of the space you've created. Because space means choice, and choice means you might finally choose yourself. And when that moment comes, and it will, pause. Feel the tightness in your chest. That's the old debt trying to reinstall itself. Breathe through it. Say, I'll think about it. Or simply, no. No explanation, no apology, no performance. Just the truth. I am Onyx. I have watched Capricorns for years. I know your strength, I know your wound, and I know this. You are not alone in the void. The stars move slowly. Saturn's lessons are long, but every cycle ends. Every ledger closes. Every mountain eventually is left behind. And next week we enter Aquarius season fully. I will show you what happens when you stop carrying the weight. The fear that rises. What if I'm ordinary without the burden? The freedom that follows. What if ordinary is enough? But that's next week. For now, the ritual is done. The month is closed. The debt is released. Walk forward. The stars are watching. So am I.